right? And oh my gosh, we might see
another SD.
And then every time he tries to dash forward, he's getting punched. He drops steel. No!
They are just probably going to have to stall here, and that's a dead. Ooh, that's a dead. Everybody leave. What?
What a play here with the ult from Leaf.
It's gonna be a close call.
Blazes down.
Backline.
That's Blossom.
One more time. Greater Johnstown.
Annihilate.
Can you find enough? The Ramatra finds a revenge. But who gets it? Oh my God! I can't believe that.
It's going to be someone in your back line, up, ready, and an ultimate. It's going to not get hacked out of it. It's a walk up, and there's a beautiful EMP. Bye-bye. There goes another team kill.
Feeling good in the neighborhood right now, and it's time for the Genji plate as well. Slice, dice, 3K. Blurry's got another attack on top. The 4K shutdown team kill.
Unsurprisingly, and just with another play of the game, someone that we've just seen doing such a great job on the front, and yeah, I'll feel understandable.
An understandable final ultimate here, and an understandable team kill.
See, they're all on critical. Gom's the first one to go. Kitsune dropped down, but High Noon is the key. Triple kill. This guy's got Deadeye. Massive, a Deadeye and a perfect trigger finger. All of them will drop minus the one. Bingling's got a sliver.
The fact that Annihilation's still not needed makes that round look even better. Now gonna pop it, gonna walk in. Bastion instantly devoured yet again. They'll pick up 3 and looking to swoop the rest as well.
See what Devout can do. Already found one, but can you find even more? You almost have that Death Blossom online.
Surge!
Heimdall's gonna pull everybody in, but the Baptiste is perfect. What? Oh my God! Heimdall! Speaking of the top 5 plays! If I'm Carlisle, I am putting it all into this push. Here they go. A line up for the Rampage, and that Rampage finds them all. Stizzy right behind, finding the picks. Make it 3. It couldn't have been any more telegraphed. Stizzy's just clicking heads, and down goes.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs. I hope you're having a fantastic night, because I am. It's NECC for week 1. Waynesburg, Marvel Rivals, you're up to bat, and I'm joined by Ari Cass. Ari, welcome in, madam. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm ready to get into some Marvel Rivals because I believe the last time that I was here on this channel, we were also doing Marvel Rivals. So lucky me, back to back, and now joined by Spaceman, the Spaceman. For those of you who maybe aren't as familiar, we'll let you cook. We'll let the reputation reveal itself as we continue. But the games today as well going to be a feature in their own right. I mean, 2 teams that we don't really know what this result is going to look like.
Yeah, look, we had the TEC High School Esports League that kicked off last week that kind of brought us into the fold for Marvel Rivals this season. This time, though, for NECC, the competition picks up to a different level. Though noted in our pre-show, we were talking with production a little bit about the fact that Waynesburg coming into this are kind of on the up and up, but they have yet to kind of secure their first real win. They did eventually get one through a DQ from one of the other teams, but this is a team in Waynesburg that is going to be hunting against Southern Indiana for a very strong, we'll keep it brief, showing today. They need to prove that they can come out and give us some good action Marvel Rivals. So there's a lot on the line, a lot to be desired for Waynesburg. But I do want to get your thoughts as we were discussing a little bit of the meta, how it's changed, the buffs and debuffs coming in. Are you expecting anything wacky and wild tonight? Are you expecting any surprise picks? I don't think we're gonna get Blade, but we might be getting it. Might get surprised. What are you feeling?
I mean, I hate to say it, but these
Don't say it.
players are not the tier one pros.
How
It's
dare you?
shocking. They look pretty dang close, but they're
They do.
just a little bit off. And so that means that comfortability is going to play a solid factor here on which characters are played. Is there meta? Potentially. Or is it just, hey, we're going to run whatever we want to run because we feel better on it. And that's why you may see characters like Blade, like Magic, like even Jeff, for all we know, just to kind of pop around and do some shenanigans whatever the way they see fit.
The Jeff has been more than a pet pick between both the dev side and the community reaction. Jeff just seems to be getting all the best buffs, which fair play to all the Jeff players. How dare you to all the Jeff players as well to add on to that. But again, Waynesburg versus Southern Indiana will be our first match and only match done. It's a best of 5. Remind you, we will have 3 games minimum, 5 guaranteed if we go the distance. This should be a fun one, though, as Marvel Rivals has continued to evolve over the last month or so. There was a massive update pushed out and micro updates for a lot of small buffs and upgrades for different kinds of characters. With that, though, we have seen a big change on the healer side. Obviously, most recently in Ignite, Mantis has been maybe one of the biggest protects and bans we've seen across the board. That's allowed a little bit more space for the Vanguards, specifically for Emma Frost to be kind of a later pick in those picks and bans. But I am curious if that kind of meta will trickle down to this level. Ari, do you expect to see the competency is maybe not the right word, but do you expect to see the intangibles or the data that we see kind of at the high level find its way into this style of Marvel Rivals? Because there has been quite a change up at the top level.
I think I'll go for the word you were trying to go for. It was proficiency, maybe,
Thank you.
because
Yes.
I'm thinking like one of these players that maybe played a little bit earlier on, got comfortable with the Mantis when they weren't permabanned 100% of the time.
That's
And now you kind of go in, you're really good at this character, and you're saying, okay, maybe I'm not playing the duelist role for my team. Instead, I'm on that support, that heal. And so I can kind of just, provide whatever I can for you. So I do think there is going to be Mantis. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the other ones that we're seeing, like Emma Frost. I know that one's a bit tougher to kind of get the deal of, although it is very nice and a very fun tank to kind of just play and run it down. Again, will the results be there even if those players do end up picking Emma Frost? That I'm not sure about.
Yeah, it does call into question a little bit what the flex spot looks like. We talked about this last week, specifically looking at Potomac Panthers and Pittsburgh Cougars. We were waiting for that match to get underway. We watched the Chicago Mustangs play in their matchup. And one of the things that we discussed was like Marvel Rivals as a game presents opportunities for players to kind of dip into their bag a little bit more. Vanguards have to be flexed. Vanguards have to be proficient in multiple different characters in that slot. Same thing you could say with the DPS and the strategists as well. So it is going to be an interesting conversation tonight whether or not Waynesburg, as they've gotten ready for their NECC competition, are able to deepen their play pool and their picks. If that's the case, we're gonna have a very fun night here tonight. If not, it will be a question of, all right, what does Southern Indiana bring to the table? Because our VOD time and our reps with these two teams is very limited, but we'll get a pretty good idea of how this looks in the opening best of 5. And granted, we should be starting with domination to begin. So that one, a bit of a toss-up most times for game ones for Marvel Rivals. It being domination, though, are we going to, I'm kind of throwing a lot of generals out here, but why not? Are we going to get a kind of a default meta tonight? Do you expect to see more than two strategists on the board, potentially 2 Vanguards? I don't think we're going to get anything too unusual. I expect a lot of these teams to kind of default to what they're comfortable with: 2 Vanguards, 2 strategists, kind of the same thing we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of similar as well. I do want to touch on those vanguards as well because we're in a place with the game where it's not exactly a rock paper scissors, right? Where it's
That's right.
well, they're running this vanguard, so we have to run this one. It's
Yep.
not like that right now, and so because of that, you can see, like we touched on, the comfortability start to kind of trickle through, and teams as well maybe getting stumbled if they can't adapt, right? If they say, hey, we are really good at brawl comps or poke comps, and we just keep on running it, and it super works, congrats, you're taking the W. But if that stops, and if that team can adapt to go to a different comp, that's where they're going to start to feel the pain. And I think that in all of the kind of games that we're looking for, maybe around the league, this is the one where I think that's going to play the biggest factor that we've seen so far.
You know, there was quite a time in the beginning of Marvel Rivals where it was not that dive was chosen, it was more just presented as an option for every team because Captain America was the most annoying kill on the map. Though he has been neutered quite a bit, it still feels like dive is less of a composition sometimes and more of just we can do it if we choose to, Venom being one of the biggest cases why. So I am very curious tonight. I think you bring up an excellent point. I'm very curious tonight to see if we do see a bit of a mix, a bit of a flavor profile between some brawl, some dive, potentially, you know, appeal kind of happens naturally, but there's an opportunity where you could get a little wacky and wild tonight, and I hope that is the case because there has been obviously some updates to the game. If you're checking it out in the store, be sure to do so. There's new skins available. Punisher dropped today. I believe Mantis is coming in soon. But the biggest updates that we've seen, most specifically that I can think of in terms of the DPS slot, as we wait to make sure the players are ready to go in the lobby, is that now Scarlet Witch will attract her enemies during her ult and not just have to hover towards them. So that is one of the biggest buffs she's gotten since launch, and it really does kind of change how, one, we might see the portal into ult combo between Strange and Wanda, and then two, what we could be seeing again with counterplay outside of Angela and Warlock working together, which was on display last week with Chicago Mustangs. They loved the Warlock Angela combo. All that speculation aside, the fun part is now we get to actually look at the pick and bans. Ari, talk to me. What are you seeing? How are you feeling about this early start? Emma already banned out. Is that a surprise?
I mean, I feel like that's not the craziest of surprises. I would say I'm not super familiar with pro play right now, but for the Moon Knight ban to come through, I feel like that's a comfortability kind of target. You look at somebody's profile, you say, hey, they're pretty good at Moon Knight. Let's just make sure they can't deal with that anymore.
That's absolutely the case. I mean, if you're playing high-level lobbies into Celestial, into Eternal, so on and so on, we'll get the lobby reset. Yeah, most players comfortable in Moon Knight, especially it used to be Moon Knight and Punisher. You want them out quickly. It's one of those quick bans you want to get out. We might see a protect on the other end for Emma. Remember, this pick and ban system allows you to protect a character even if the other team has banned it for your side. It's all a bunch of haywires in the end, but we'll make sure the players are good to go. But yeah, so far early getting that front line kind of taken care of in the picks and bans. Surprised we didn't see an immediate ban on the Venom. I saw one player had the Lord icon. So, I mean, if I'm coming into this and I'm a very young player, I'm kind of getting new to competition. If I see somebody has a Lord icon, I'm getting rid of that character immediately. I'm not letting them touch it. That's why I'm up here and not playing. But Southern Indiana, Waynesburg, going head to head in the best of 5. How are you feeling about this series? I know we're still kind of working through the personalities of the teams and seeing what we get in conjunction with the gameplay itself. But as Marvel Rivals has adapted, has grown, has evolved, all those words as an esport, what has been one of your takeaways, speaking specifically towards the comp side for Brawl, Dive, etc.? What's been one of your takeaways looking at what teams need to do successfully in this game? Fundamentally, how would you look at a squad, a young squad, and tell them and coach them to success in a game like this?
Well, to be honest, I mean, you kind of take a look between organized play and comp, really. That's the big difference. You say, hey, the teams that are actually, you know, going in, playing in competitions, they're playing together. And I know that sounds so simple, right? Just play together, lol. Well, guess what? Like, it's actually pretty tough in a 5v5 team environment. Pressure's on the line. You have to worry about all these bans, and you can't quite figure out what exactly to kind of take your time with. You kind of just have to go every single second.
Yep, gotta have good execution, but IGLing, specifically in most esports, you need to have a good IGL, and Marvel Rivals, same kind of situation, specifically when it comes down to parallel times on your support ults, making sure you stay in rhythm with your team and don't pop too early. We've seen it before, popping an invisible boundary too early, or an Eternal Bond could make or break a team fight. When it does, it's an oof. When it doesn't, it's a great time to be alive. It'll be an interesting sight tonight to see what these players can bring to the table. Already protecting Spider-Man on one side, Penny's out, along with Squirrel Girl and Moon Knight to continue on, but protecting our Cloak and Dagger and Thor, who just got a massive update, should be coming in the next month or so. But they were talking about kind of getting him more synergy with Angela and specifically Loki. So I expect to see more Thor players at high levels moving forward. Thor's going to be an interesting tank tonight.
I know that kind of back in the day, this is old knowledge, right? We used to see the Luna Snow and the Cloak and Dagger kind of being the two supports that kind of just carried everything. But now you have Mantis come on through, and that's kind of its own weapon. You have Invisible Woman, who's been in and out of like consistent high tier play, and so you're like, okay, where does this really fall? And you can see from Southern Indiana that they say, hey, we want to play Cloak and Dagger meta, not Luna Snow meta.
And neither team wants to play hit scan meta, which fair at this stage of the game. I know we're still very early into this esports lifespan, and there's been a wild swing of changes. Surprised we haven't seen Hella, I think, called this early on. Granted, there's still plenty of time to change things up, but again, no immediate danger when it comes to hit scan. You do have Bucky for Jordan, who will be a factor for Waynesburg. So curious how that'll play against the likes of Magneto, specifically on point. Again, you're rocking 3 tanks if you're Southern Indiana. So clearly shove heavy first and poke out for extra damage second is the idea for Southern Indiana. That is a confidence pick if I've seen one so far. 3 tanks to start this early. That's rare.
I just like the Bucky. It's been like an old classic for me to kind of run it down with in ranked, and now you kind of see it here as well. So I'm curious to see if they use that grapple hook to their advantage. Obviously, right, the target becoming one of those 3 strategists, but is it easier said than done to kind of grab them and take them down when there's 3 tanks in your face as well? We'll have to see. You
gotta tell me, it wasn't Bucky who was the character that you had a problem with, right? I have to know.
It was Magic.
Was Magic. Oh, that makes so much sense because I too hate Magic and getting dived. I absolutely understand that. Now it makes so much sense. The gank is absolutely mind-numbing in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you kind of pick and choose your battles you look for, and well, at least Jordan's found the first one in their favor.
I never pick those battles. They always get chosen for me, and that explains my rage at the end of the day. But guess what? We're into our game 1. If you're just joining us, welcome into the first match of the night, and the only match of the night here from our rivals. Again, we talked a little bit about Southern Indiana starting off with 3 Vanguards in their setup. It was a question for Waynesburg's DPS coming in, and so far, their tanks have been able to handle the front line quite effectively. Granted, they've been able to isolate Spider-Man out quickly, and with it, you basically shut down most of the mid-range in the air. Now it just comes down to a Thor one-on-one. But for the opening pokes, Waynesburg's done a very nice job of mitigating some of that opening pressure on point.
Kraken impact already? There's no way you've charged it that quick. I mean, that's Winter Soldier for you. Unfortunately, no immediate picks. It's just them going down. So they grab the first, and then they are the second, with Callaway being strong here and actually propelling the rest of their team to what we assume is a fight win, but that's going to be stalled out for a little bit longer.
Yeah, a little bit scared on the snowball into point. I was wondering whether or not Groot was going to be enough to clear off the LOS and essentially give your team free pickings on the back line. Doesn't look like it will be the case, though. Rocket's still up. And with it, everybody stands around and gets some time on the point. Shouldn't be single filing this if you're Waynesburg. Got to be questioning it, but Mantis will go ahead and get everybody else involved. This is where things start to get just a little bit dicey for Waynesburg.
I feel like this is a point of Waynesburg just kind of saying, hey, we're going to stall this fight out for as long as we can and maybe eventually flip it. But right now, I mean, this is a lot of percentage, even if they do end up falling. But this is looking really, really good. That's 2 picks now. And Jordan making it 3, looking for more. And guess what? 4 is maybe escaping you. Oh, no, we're good. We're still cooking.
They were waiting for the Thor. They were able to get the Magneto out. So that was 1 tank down, still 2/3 to go. Really good credit to Waynesburg, working through a 3-front setup, an incredibly impressive setup from Southern Indiana on the front line with those tanks. But Waynesburg were cool, calm, collected. Jordan able to utilize that Kraken impact to kind of pick apart slowly off the Magneto, back into the Thor, and then once Groot's kind of in position, or I should say out of position, your DPS can handle the rest from there. He's kind of just a sponge. So it seems like a very good response from Waynesburg as they will take another team fight here quickly onto the point and right back into it. Southern Indiana throwing bodies at this, but coming away with not much.
Yeah, throwing their bodies into the point and throwing their bodies back to the spawn room, as it looks like Southern Indiana will have to take a reset moment. We talked about how they had a chance to breathe in comp. Well, this is the biggest chance you're going to get to breathe for the rest of this map, this match, if you will, and, you know, figure out what to do here next on Cradle.
The stats coming into this were saying that Waynesburg's first win came in a DQ. Granted, some of the matches were close. Some were 2-1, others the same kind of 3-1 situation. This is a very strong opening round for a team that had to basically smash their head against a brick wall of 3 tanks, which is still tough to do at any level. It doesn't matter if it's a one-off for a pro team or just a brand new squad getting their feel for the game. 3 tanks can provide so much cadence that is impossible to deal with if you are unable to respond on the other end. Generalities being what they are, this is a team in Waynesburg that has to prove, at least on the DPS side, that they can outshoot their problems. So far, they've been doing it. Credit to Jordan, who's been able to find a Kraken impact, if not 2 in the opening round. Already sitting on a 3rd. This has been a very strong start for Waynesburg, and I think a necessary opening win to kind of get the vibes up for this team.
Yeah, Southern Indiana, I mean, they will have the ult advantage to a point here with 4 as opposed to 2 on the other side. But how do you really go in and kind of, maintain the control right now? It feels like they're just kind of playing to outlive. And while that's nice, I mean, are you really ever going to capture the points if you're not dealing with this Winter Soldier, this Spider-Man in your backline?
If you don't deal with it, you'd hope that the healers maybe start to call attention there. You're dealing with 3 healers and 3 tanks for Southern Indiana, so it does come down to just simply, do you have the DPS to deal with this? Do you have the DPS to handle the fight? Strangled Prison will keep everybody close quarters for now. Thor gets a recharge back thanks to the extra hit, and we'll take down the extra tank. Now with it, Waynesburg back into the point yet again. They'll get their first ticks on the board. This is round 2 of their first map, and Waynesburg are very cleanly back into a comfortable driving position of their destiny in this opening round. This has been like a hot knife through butter to begin. I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah, I was kind of assuming that, Southern Indiana would, at worst case, kind of just dump all their ults and maybe not find as much value. Maybe they just get stalled out and eventually lose it. But to have only 1 come out when you have that ult advantage, right, it means that somebody's maybe not ult tracking as well, or maybe they're just not coming up with these plans early enough and kind of realizing a bit too late what they need to do.
I am not the smartest person in the world. It's one of my favorite things about myself, is that I always know what I don't know. But what I do know, that long soliloquy, is that sometimes at the end of the day, you need a DPS. You need somebody on Southern Indiana to take initiative in that department. We haven't seen it, though they are sitting on 4 ults. They'll convert 2. Venom, low, tagged, being healed quite effectively. Good pockets in the back. Invisible Woman trying to work through a split. Thor will get out of dodge for now. Still working around 2. The group wall won't do much to disrupt the flow of action here, but it will cause the rest of the play kind of to stall as they kind of just go back to throwing haymakers in the middle of the map. So this is, again, like an instance where if I'm Southern Indiana, you have time, you do need to contest, but you need to start prioritizing getting some DPS on the board and focusing that damage, because you're just not clearing away the Venom or the Thor.
Well, they clear away the Venom, the Thor, and the Winter Soldier to boot. I think they'll be happy with that result for the cost of an ultimate. Ironically, though, it was the ultimate that they used in the initial fight. Nobody else has used their ult except for Booger Butt over here on Southern Indiana, and even that was blocked by a beautiful Invis shield. I don't know if you saw that. That was pretty immaculate.
I love when Invis players do wacky stuff. Hold on. Spider-Man's going to ult. Was able to grab one. Immediately counters from the invisible boundary. Was hoping maybe that would get saved later for a counter play. If not, the defense can always come back around. Bucky going to try to stun. He'll immediately get the Kraken impact and expect the follow-up as we get it. Pushes out 1 on Magneto. Follows up on the Groot. Lands a couple of shots, a couple of body bricks, but not enough to follow up on the rest of the ult.
And I think that's the kind of idea that we're seeing and we're hoping that Southern Indiana can pull off, is once they can get that point for themselves, how long can you maintain it? And right now it looks like this game plan is going really, really well. But remember, they were down 188% to 0. So they have to come back from it. And they really need to secure this map without much error.
Well, they've doubled up on the Thor ults. They're able to strangle out Magneto, which is nice. Make it 2 in the kill feed. All blue now for Waynesburg. They look for the clear yet again. I believe Eternal Bond is on the field, and should it be, it'll be an opportunity for Southern Indiana to regroup their numbers. Mantis will now get involved, splitting some of the edge lines, allows for the Kraken impact back into the middle. It splits. The DPS stays behind their main tank. Thor does clear the way. Thor weak, Thor gone. Bucky yet again with Kraken impact clears out the rest of the defense, and Southern Indiana have to come off the back foot.
And still technically 1 more charge to maybe extend this if they land it. Oh, no way. You're going to keep on going. We've seen this play again and again, and guess what? We're seeing the Kraken impact find value again and again. Congrats to Waynesburg University. They won map 1.
Very, very strong, cool, calm, collected, confident start from Waynesburg. Granted, there was an opportunity there for Southern Indiana to kind of right the wrongs of some of the early rounds and kind of fight their way back into it, but it just felt like when the tide started to get going and the kills or Ari, it was the lack of damage output on the other side for Southern Indiana to respond to the pressure they were feeling. I'm curious, what were your thoughts after Southern Indiana's performance? Did you see anything on the field that they weren't doing that needed to be highlighted more in that match?
I mean, we touched about it, I believe, off stream. We talked about it pre-show, and we talked about it during the map. And I think it is that calling and that general plan, right? You have the idea of, okay, this is how we win. Is if this happens, we get the point, and we can, control it for a decent amount of time. The only problem is, how do you get yourself into that position? And they got to think one step further in order for that to happen. And that's not really happening right now. I want to see them go for something, maybe even wacky. I just want to see all the players commit to something, go for a play. Maybe it's jump on a support, something like that, because whatever they're doing right now, it's not working to their hopes. They got to change some things up. Now, granted, will it change as we swap the game modes? Yes. Hopefully they won't have to face domination once more like that. But, the cards, it's up to them.
The cards are up to you. Ari's absolutely right. That's why she's here, because she's the expert analyst. We have her here for a reason. So make sure you, first of all, lock in with the rest of your team. That's why NIGL's been great to have on any roster at all, ever. But also, we're going to take a quick moment with this awful segue and jump to a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue on with game 2 of our series of the night. Waynesburg up 1-0, looking hot. See if they can continue after the break.
Tomorrow, the moment is now. With a heart full of thunder, don't ask why or how. In the ruins of glory, find your ticket to ride. It's a roller coaster, baby. Buckle up for the ride. Come get it if you think you can. Break through the noise like a madman. There's a fire burning deep in the night. Get it, come get it if you've got the night.
Dreams collide in sleepless nights. Stars explode through blinding lights. Victories found in the fight. I'm on top, my soul ignites. Life's a game, we learn the rules. Twist and turn like misfit fools. Through the pain we break the chains. Find the win through loss and gains. I've got a heart that's never quitting. In this race I'm always sprinting. Feel the power, victory sings. Born to conquer, spread my wings. Castles built on hope's foundation. Rivers run with pure relation.
Boys, girls, and Emmys, welcome back to our second match here of the best of 5 tonight. Waynesburg versus Southern Indiana. It's the NECC Week 1 of competition. Last week, we had our first week of the TEC High School Esports League. This time, however, upping the ante just a little bit, and we saw our first match get underway and dusted for Waynesburg. A very quick win and a hot one at that, as they had no problem handling Southern Indiana. Let's get into Game 2.
I think from what you're seeing in these bands right now, let's kind of look at it from the side of Waynesburg, right? Hey guys, we're winning because we're playing Mantis and they're not. Let's keep doing that. Let's keep protecting Mantis, please. And then on the other side, it's, well, we still don't want to have a Luna to deal with as well. Yep. So let's just keep running our Cloak and Dagger and hoping that's working. Now, hopefully there's a plan in there somewhere that's a bit different than last time, because we are seeing things that are a little bit different, right? The Mantis is actually there for Southern Indiana as well as the Thing. But is that going to be enough?
Well, if you're Force Spore and you're Southern Indiana, you're very much hoping you can convert your Mantis pick into a sleep onto someone like Jordan before that Kraken impact really starts to make most of its impact, for lack of a better term. And also because I'm old, like, this is a very interesting dynamic for Waynesburg, knowing that, one, they've switched to Jean Grey. All of a sudden now a conversation of actual hit scan does become a factor here, and especially with the lines of sight on this map. I mean, walking that convoy forward is going to be a tougher... It's going to be a tougher situation. All of that's awful English. I don't care. Here we go. Let's get into our second map. It's going to be a very fun one to get into because simply the damage output for Waynesburg was excellent in Game 1. Should it continue in Game 2? I have a feeling this could be another very quick match, but Southern Indiana have at least some time to maybe right some of those wrongs here. They have 3 healers on the board. That's a lot. 3 tanks, so clearly wanting to dominate the front line. Can they do it? It's a very general question, but it is the question of the day. And they simply heal their way through a DPS like a Jean Grey? I don't know, but we're gonna find out.
Whoa. You're asking all these questions, but now it's my turn. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Oh no.
Do you think that if Southern Indiana can get past this first point, they actually, like, because we're gonna assume that, you know, Waynesburg was doing pretty good with their hold last time, they should be able to convert on this map. But if Southern Indiana actually can grab this first point, do you think there's a world where they come away with the victory on this map?
Yes, but it's going to take pretty one-for-one trades, if not perfect ratio splits as a team fight. I'm talking 2-to-1, 3-to-1 wins as your tanks if you're Southern Indiana. Because getting up to the first hill is not the hard part. Getting through the convoy and moving it forward, that's the hard part. And having to deal with either a Punisher or a good Bucky player, that's where things get dangerous. Does miss the eventual follow-up. That's okay. Thing and Venom trading blows in the middle of the map. Jean able to connect for a couple, and this is where it gets tough, right? Because getting up to the first couple of waves of fights, getting up to the zone is not so difficult, but dealing with that DPS in general, no matter the composition, is where you have to have either your Strange Shield or you have to have a follow-up DPS to counter. We just don't see that right now from Southern Indiana. So far, it looks okay, but I'm waiting to see a little bit more from this team.
And my brain kind of farted for a second, and I was like, what does Jean Grey do again? And then I realized, oh yeah, deletes the tanks, gets so much ult charge from it, as well as Bucky. And see, this is exactly what they are feeling free to do. I mean, this is just funneling them into every single fight that they want, that is for Waynesburg, and they are gonna keep on rolling if these paces keep staying the same.
Oh, well, we got the EMP out from Jean. She was able to shut down the Strange Shield, and then we saw the immediate follow-up from the following Thing ult. Now just kind of chaos inside. We'll wait to see what dispels of it. All things being even, should expect the Thing to walk away with this win. Extra shields, extra bumps. Hold that hand, though. Agamotto does come in, but the Invisible Boundary will at least keep Thing alive. And this is where Invisible Woman and Mantis become at their most deadly.
That's beautiful timing on that Invis ult as well, and now, you know, the match kind of coming through. I mean, you're seeing the supports doing really what they're supposed to be doing, supporting in moments of critical times, but now 1-for-1. This needs to land 1 kill, and it's not going to. So Waynesburg might actually end up dropping this one here. Nothing really to kind of hold on to this unless they can find some heroics.
Just got to keep Thing up and got to keep Strange alive. That's it. Just keep them both up, but Jordan's been a nuisance in Game 1, trying to be the same here in Game number 2. Been fantastic on the point. All 6 were stacking, but all 3 will fall, make it a 4th, a 5th. Jordan is electric right now on Bucky. Has been unstoppable, and they completely clear off the push. It was a windup from Southern Indiana with 3 tanks, and it's a push back from Bucky, all on their lonesome. What a play out of Waynesburg.
It's nerd up time. We're gonna talk about that play right there. Yes, it looks super flashy. It got 5 kills. That's amazing Kraken impact. But why was it so valuable? The target priority. You saw all 3 supports were taken down first, then they decided to attack the tanks, and that's what led them to that fight win and holding on to that point. I mean, Southern Indiana didn't even get a tick, which is absurd given what just happened.
Yeah, and the only, like, kind of getting back to your idea of, can this team, Southern Indiana, move through the first wave? Can they get through that front line? They can get up to the door of opportunity. Can they get through it? That's where they need an extra bit of damage. They need just a little thing, a little bit of extra damage to get over the hump. They need somebody to push them over the finish line, because now they're getting pushed back and they don't yet have the capabilities to handle Bucky. They don't have the capabilities to handle Jean Grey in the back, but they do at least get a chance to peel these players out. They'll have a bit of time. 30 seconds on the clock. It's still doable. Still working on the first tick. Keep that in mind. But this is starting to get in dire straits here for Southern Indiana if they can't get something on the board.
Yeah, 3 ults here. I mean, you have to assume the Strangling Prison is their way in, but you can't go down before even getting there. Where is this opportunity?
Once done, walls out. Really don't have any ults to work with here. Outside of Mantis, gonna have to pop it here. Into overtime we go. And we will get the Mantis ult. Mantis has to stay up. Keep your supports alive for as long as possible. Visible Boundary will follow. Last one in will be the thing. It's a 2-1 on the opposite end for Venom and Thor taking their own fight. Thor's gonna go ahead and ult.
Oh boy.
The hammer doesn't actually connect for much, but it does at least stun some of the tanks.
Yeah, and that just chip damage onto the Mantis was enough to take them down. Once again, we're seeing the supports fall a little bit early, and that's kind of making this chance for Southern Indiana to kind of close out a tick, a point, something just not happen anymore. So Waynesburg Uni, a full hold here on the first point, making this one that much easier for them to, well, I guess they can't even lose anymore. So draw.
Yeah, we can absolutely go to, like, yeah, right, OT would just be a draw, but this is 1 tick and you're good. So very much a dangerous situation for Southern Indiana to be in. Granted, this is now the opportunity for them to kind of dive into that playbook. We talked about it in the pregame. How deep is your bag in Marvel Rivals? Whatever position you play, Vanguard, Strategist, or DPS, whatever you play, you need to be able to play multiple characters in that role. Can you get flexed as a duelist? Can you jump a little bit deep into your bag if you only play Magneto and Strange? Can you pull out something like a Dive Cap? Can you pull out a Venom? Can you pull out a thing to counter a lot of those heavy engagements you've seen early on from Waynesburg? I need to see what Southern Indiana can bring to the table. So far, it's been 3 heals, 3 tanks this time, waiting on Codex to pick a player, and with it, a chance now for Southern Indiana to shake up into this second round. We have Jeff on the field, so at least we'll make the ult a little bit more viable for both the Strangle in Prison into a Jeff ult, into what could be the Mantis Rejuve, or a chance for Waynesburg to do what they do best, which is simply kind of controlling the pace of play.
I mean, we see a Blade coming out on the attacking side. I wasn't expecting to see this, and now we're gonna. So I know you were saying, what does Southern Indiana have to bring to the table, but what does Waynesburg at the same time, right? What piece does this fit into their puzzle? Is it just a comfort pick of, I want to have fun because we're winning so strong, look at me? Or is it, we actually feel this is the way that we're going to be cooking to get into this attack side? Curious to see how that plays out.
Well, if you're Waynesburg and you feel you want to play more mid-range against 3 tanks, this is the perfect character to pick at times. Spider-Man can only be so useful, but Waynesburg getting wiped off the point quickly. Credit to Southern Indiana, how they've been able to hold. The defense not faltering by any stretch. Mantis is going to get pushed out and zoned quickly. There goes Mantis. There goes the hold. Southern Indiana defensively, nice job off the start. Not faltering under that early pressure and basically taking the first wave.
Yeah, Kodok's on that duelist roll, so we have a higher sense of damage now coming through. The Jeff as well could be considered maybe a pseudo-duelist if you want to go there, but Punxian swapping off to the Blade, so we were seeing that maybe it was just a little bit of a ego confidence pick. Either way, they're going to be back on Old Faithful here in the Punisher, and honestly, I think Waynesburg are going to have a tougher time approaching this because of this Iron Man.
I love the Iron Man pick. Look, it gives you some range on the poke for sure, but again, a hit scan will be your nemesis here. Punisher will essentially shut down all that free real estate you get with Iron Man, so got to make sure you capitalize both on the unit being down close on your supports, and hopefully if you can deal with that Punisher in the back line, if you're Southern Indiana, your Iron Man can make most of the MVP type plays to shut down what could be a relatively strong hold from Waynesburg. Here we go, though, into the turret.
No way.
This will try to be an early target. How do you handle it? Just keep Iron Man alive. There's no need to challenge if you don't have to. and allow the best of your backline like Jeff to deal that damage at range.
This is 3 fights happening in its own right now. We have the Bucky in the front line with the rest of the team. You have the Punisher in the back line fighting the Iron Man, and everybody's just kind of in their own world. And I think that's gonna be the downfall of Waynesburg Unity if they don't group up, right? They need to work as a team. We've seen them just push themselves to higher limits because they are. And if you let that kind of go away, you're taking away your win condition.
Maximum Pulse, I love the way that you were able to put that as well. That everybody's kind of playing in their own world. So again, the split from the prioritization that Waynesburg had relied on in game 1, the first round here in game 2, is not here to be trifled with in this second round. 2 big beatdowns though. Ecliptical can't escape for long, but it's still 4 up. Make it 5. Thor low on health, very, very weak, will eventually get punished for the overaggression. However, damage done on the point, 3 ults to work with. Southern Indiana, convert a triple kill from Iron Man into a hold defensively, and will still maintain some positioning on this first zone. And for a team that had to essentially give up no ticks, they've done just that. They've done a really nice job of holding down this first point.
I will say, you know what, I'll take the blame for that one. I'll take the blame. I said they should group up, and then they grouped up for an Iron Man ult. So that's my bad. I will refrain from saying that anymore. But now you've got a whole different situation where it's just damage versus damage, who can deal more. And it's certainly not Punxiorn as they fall down first in the battle.
I think it's going to be kind of caught in no man's land with that Eternal Bond. You're not going to be able to deal as much healing as you'd like. You need both your healers on him at all times. And Invisible Woman's Shrine, Thor is low as well. Thor will go down. There goes the first line. Second to follow. And we do have your ult here if you're the thing. I don't know if you want to invest it at this moment, but you're getting kind of surrounded. So maybe you do. Able to knock one. Looking on the second.
Yeah, that target priority, once again, you need to target those supports. You saw the Kraken Impact being used to kind of attack those certain angles, but now take out the Jeff and you should be good. The only problem is you've just gotten fried if you're Ecliptical, and now you only have one fight, a stretch touch, if you will, to even get on here and hope for the best and getting a tick.
Okay, let's go here. Pulse charge. Out. It does land on one. That's big. Takes out Mantis, and there goes one of your healers as well. Won't have time for the Strange Portal. It's not going to matter. The defense from Southern Indiana completely righting the wrongs of round 1. Hold on. Strange is on with just about a second to go into this round. Do they have time? They have to buy time simply for Thing to get back off spawn. That is the only play they have to make.
Oh boy, this isn't going to go too well. Everybody is funneling into the same point, and you will all fall back on down. Very, very low HP, and it will only be a matter of time before everybody is sent back to that spawn room. Well, we said they couldn't lose, but this is the second worst result, honestly, you're hoping for Waynesburg at that point, because a draw, not your desired outcome.
I expect we'll be getting a replay, and if that is the case, it'll at least leave the door open to a much more interesting conversation of simply now that the meta for the game state has changed and kind of become more interesting. Now we can really talk about the nitty-gritty of what can Southern Indiana do to split away from Waynesburg. But this was a different roster composition out of Southern Indiana. We started with the Iron Man. It changed a couple of times. It went back to Iron Man, had the Jeff introduction late into the second round. Cloak and Dagger and Mantis combining to protect those front 2 tanks. And look, we talked about it in game 1. We talked about it in the first round of game 2. We said all you need to do if you're Southern Indiana is quite literally introduce some extra DPS. You just need a duelist just to kind of give you some breathing room. And what do you get? 33 kills out of the Iron Man and 2 very massive ult charges that both clear one team push and essentially hold off defensively on a second. This is the Southern Indiana we expected to see.
Spaceman, I'm going to do it to you. I'm sorry.
Please
I'm going to put you under fire.
Oh,
you
God.
said during the break, this looks like a quick match. It should be
It did.
a 3-0, and I'm not going to blame you. You're probably right after what we saw for the first map. But now you have to guess if there's DPS on the Southern Indiana side. Now where's your prediction at? Because now it's not, okay, we're just running it down. This is back and forth. So give me some numbers. What do we got?
I think we're I think we're going 4. I feel like this could be a series that does stretch out a little bit. Like it wasn't just swing the pendulum to the other side. Now they're doing damage. It's defensively, they couldn't give up one capture, and they did a phenomenal job of timing their ults, specifically with Iron Man, being able to force that choke point, basically keep the tanks out of the play. They prioritized onto Mantis quite effectively. And look, I mean, they forced Waynesburg to really dig deep, both with the Strange Portal in the end, and also when it came to pressuring the thing to ult onto the point when a 1v3 situation. You forced a lot of Waynesburg's ults out when they didn't really want to use them, which is not how the start of the series went initially, when Waynesburg were kind of dictating when and where they wanted to use their ults. So just by the way things have changed, it's not just that it was a turnaround from Southern Indiana, but simply because of the fact that once they introduced a better DPS to the situation, they looked like a completely different team and much more sturdy defensively than what we had seen in the first game. So I got to say, we're at least going forward. I got to have confidence in Southern Indiana. Now I'm going to flip the question. Eva, right back to you. Where are we going with this one?
Well, here was my thought. I want to go back to the one final point in that last touching attempt. It was the Thing and Bucky. They were both on the point. And you mentioned, we're going to use this ult here. Wait, no, we're not. Okay, yes, we are. And that little hesitation, maybe 3-4 seconds, if combined with the Kraken impact at the same time, you're seeing at least 3 guaranteed kills, because there's already like 2. So adding one more on top of that means those respawns are going to go a little bit later. I think you win that out if you just pop those ults together. It's okay to dump them at the same time if everyone's coming back from the spawn, if no supports are there, because they're being taken down by that Kraken impact. So because of that, I'm going to say that if Waynesburg can continue to realize that, yes, we need to attack with the same mentality as our defense in terms of we're going to do whatever it takes to win, I think they are going to take this, but I wouldn't be surprised if honestly Southern Indiana can hold on to this for a little bit longer. I will still agree with your 4-game series, though, 4 maps, because it just feels right. It feels like that's how this tempo is going.
Ari, if we're looking back to the start of the series, it is fascinating how reductive this gameplay becomes when you're not dealing with the Kraken impact every single team fight. Like, it was already a headache for Southern Indiana to have to mitigate Jordan's play, but now that Jordan was either kept at arm's length or neutralized for most of that second round in our match on Convoy, this is a very, I'm not going to say very different Waynesburg, that's a little bit disingenuous, but this is a Waynesburg offense that does not have, for lack of a better term, the impact that they had when Jordan was connecting 2 pieces, 3 pieces, and basically wiping down the entire defense of Southern Indiana. So with that long tangent aside, is the hero play from Bucky, is the hero play from one player in Waynesburg carrying the offense too much? Or is it too early to call, and we're still waiting to see what this offense can bring to the table, as Southern Indiana will look on their picks and bans to try to keep Waynesburg at bay?
I just find it funny that we see both Bucky and Iron Man banned here. So no fun for any of the duelists in last game. I mean, there was even a Spider-Man ban as well. We saw Spider-Man at one point. That's gone too. It's just a silly kind of sequence where, yep, we're target banning. That's what's giving us the most problems. That's what we're going to keep on going. But to kind of address your point and say, is it carrying too much? I'm going to say that both of these teams are heavily relying on their defense. And the difference between maybe Waynesburg in that first map was that they had a hero who could rise up to the challenge, be it in the form of Bucky, and actually take down 3 or 4 in one singular fight. But because you've neutralized that Bucky now with whatever resources you've managed to muster up with Southern Indiana, now you can't really rely on that hero play. And now you have to bring it back to the team play. And that's where we're seeing these teams actually kind of match up, right? The heroes maybe a little bit higher on Waynesburg, but you bring them back down to their bare roots, these teams are very even.
That's why we have Ari. She's the best in the game. If you're not listening, you should be listening. You little
Not even in
heathens.
game. I'm out of the game.
The best on the desk. We're going to rhyme with that. I'm going to go with that. Who are you rocking in game? Who are you rocking in game when it comes to whether it's ranked or not? Who's your main pet pick? Who are we going with?
Okay, well, okay. There's 2 points I'm going to make here.
Okay.
So one, let's let you guess, because I said I hate magic, which means
you did say you hate magic.
I play a character that can be dove. So what are you thinking already? What kind of role?
Are you I'm trying to think, are you a Vanguard kind of gal? Like, are you a strategist kind of gal? Like, because I'm an Invisible Woman player, so I hate getting dived. So I'm trying to feel the vibe out of, are you sitting in the back line protecting your team, or are you like a Moon Knight who just happens to run into a magic every now and then, and I would understand the tilt.
How about give me a Moon Knight with auto aim and heals, also known as Cloak and Dagger, because love to see that. I can't aim worth crap.
Wow. I don't know why I didn't expect Cloak and Dagger, but that is a very fair pick. It's a very fair pick.
New match though. Maybe time for new results. I mean, we're still seeing the same old Cloak and Dagger, same Jeff, same Jean Grey, same Invis Woman. I mean, the comps are relatively like 90% the same.
And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it leaves a lot to be desired. I do want to say we're going to leave it to the former with this one, as the Waynesburg defense has been able to push back both Thing and Magneto to begin. They lost the opening engagement, but they do stall here about 2/3 of the way through the main point. Thing's still alive. Great heals in the back. Great pocket as well. This woman gives him some shields to work with. Jean Grey at 70%. 2 healers on the board. And Jean at distance can do so much with that hit scan, especially with the burn damage over time. But I do also want to count out, or excuse me, call out that Southern Indiana dipping into the Hella playbook. So immediately countering the Jean pick, which is great. I mean, that's one of the strongest duelists in the game. A perfect pick.
We said no rock, paper, scissors on Vanguard. However, there are rock, paper, scissors when it comes to the duelists, because some of them will directly counter the other. Is there even going to be a touch here? I mean, this just looks very scrappy, and I don't really like how it's coming in from Waynesburg. It feels like they're playing to not lose, and right now, well, they're holding on. But where's that win con that we're hoping to see?
Here's a win con. Here's a great one at that. Able to isolate 2. Tags on the 3rd. There it is. Hella makes a difference already into the game. Tank falls quickly just after, and Thor's not long for this world. This is a perfect start for Southern Indiana. My goodness. They did lose the opening fight on the shove, but that's why the DPS poke works so well, and why the rally cry that you get out of Thing and Invisible Woman can be shut down quickly if you have someone like Hella to counter that play. Already Southern Indiana looking like the team that steamrolled through their second round on Convoy, who has not slowed down, and Yggdrasil has looked like, again, hot knife through butter for this team.
I'd like to bring it back to something you said. The least surprising thing that you could say in a game of Marvel Rivals, Hella having impact. I hate to say it, but yeah, that one happens pretty decently. Jordan at least making up for the blunders with a nice little 3K here, and maybe a little bit more to boot. But again, this is just to hold off the pressure that has been snowballing from Southern Indiana. I mean, that wasn't even really a push. That was a dry fight.
Yeah, and that was a Khonshu clear. That was just straight up. Our backline's a little bit shaky. We need to make sure we at least get control of the convoy fair, but it does, again, call into question the prioritization of those ults for Waynesburg. They have had to rely on get-out-of-jail-free cards. When eventually it comes to the team fight, Southern Indiana, since round 2 of the last game, have looked like the stronger team offensively. Don't know if that's going to continue, but it does leave something to be questioned moving forward, as Magneto will take initiation on the fight. Luna in the back has to be the first call. Might see the final judgment here. Would be a bit of a preemptive pop, but clearly Punisher very keen on taking care of Luna, and Punisher is weak. A little too overzealous from Waynesburg, and they might get caught for it, and they will.
Yeah, it's tough. You're trying to poke out while your front line walks forward, but then the front line just doesn't want to for whatever reason. Maybe didn't have the cooldowns. The support's not in the right position, and Punxiorn definitely not in the right position as they pop their ult well in the middle of the open. That's going to result in them going back to the spawn room, and, well, at least that's made up for by Ecliptical, because they've managed to hold on for the moment. Granted, the moment is only, what, 21 seconds by definition, so this moment could be over for them relatively quickly.
Ooh, chase down, baby. Come on. I like what I'm seeing. Another quick Khonshu pop, but you take it down. Thing out in front handles the rest. And guess what? All tanks stay up. Everybody's happy at the end of the day. This is another walk-up from Southern Indiana, which quite literally feels like a walk-up. They have kind of taken the whole idea of Magneto shove into full straight up playbook of just, we're just going to kind of walk the point forward. I mean, they've split the duelists out of the Khonshu pop. They have kept Moon Knight at bay. They have kept Punisher clear of that back line, not dealing any damage onto the support. And it's just kind of been looking easy for Southern Indiana. This is a very different team than round 1, or game 1, I should say.
Whoa, these are really aggressive ults. I'm not sure I like this because, again, let's say you find value. Let's say you even team wipe in this spot. Guess what? They're going to come right back from the spawn that's 2 inches away from them. That's why I'd rather you wait, maybe let them burn their ults and then match them up in response, because using them here to win a fight isn't exactly the best value for you. Now, granted, are they still popping them to maintain this and stall? Yes, that I do like, but they need to at least hold it on a little bit longer and win it out. Magneto from the skies on your head, and goodbye. It's so nice here from Southern Indiana.
Well, it takes care of the first line and the second. Luckily, Hell's there to counter and to pick up the rest. But this is a little Guardian Angel 1-2. And Magneto with the Meteor M can shut down all hopes and dreams. What would have been the dance of both worlds doesn't matter at the end of the day. This is just a perfect start for Southern Indiana and a perfect run through the late part of this map. 2 pushes already, 2 zones to clear. The last one in front of them, Magneto leading the charge, gets pulled in. But look, if you're Waynesburg, defensive hold has to come out here. It's got to happen now because this Southern Indiana squad looks like a very different team than the first start of this series.
I was going to say, that thing looked a bit too far forward, and yeah, they were. They got punished for it, and they went on down. Now, this is still doable for Waynesburg, right? The numbers seem a little bit in their favor as far as what I can tell, but that Hella ult in the sky isn't exactly great for their HP, on the other hand, because now you're fighting a bunch of demons as well as a billion HP one in the sky. However, they do manage to kind of hold on here. And for Waynesburg, right, their kind of stall has been there this map, but it's a bit hit or miss. For Southern Indiana, though, it feels like it's almost inevitable that they just full cap here.
I'm wondering now for Waynesburg, do you try to wait and dump damage in a combined Star-Lord into Punisher ults? Do you try to just force the strategists to get rid of their ults on the other side for Southern Indiana and just kind of out-comp them based on the pure math of it all? I don't know, but look, they're going to have to make a decision at some point. They will have to decide when they want to invest in with these ults. And when they feel like they can make that play, as a knock-up from the thing starts first, Concha will come in second, 2 in the kill feed. It's all red, and Southern Indiana are making the move.
I was going to say, hopefully this Star-Lord ult is a bit better than last time. We saw very little value out of it, but now maybe the chance to kind of knock those supports off from the back end, though using it here would be a last-ditch attempt to kind of stall this push down, because right now they're down 2 players, and I believe at least 1 strategist, so you need to hold on here. There we go. Legendary from the sky is going to be met by a support ultimate, so have fun shooting that overhealth, because I was certainly not.
Doesn't really look like it lands for much. Again, just great prioritization from the defense of Southern Indiana. Final Judgment will land on the thing for a little bit. Gets immediate heals again out of the Luna Snow, but now it's just a chaos cluster right now on the front of the point as both teams vie for a bit of positioning in their team fight. Trying to take care of the strategist in the back line. It's not going to matter much. Ooh. 1 will fall, make it 2, make it 3. Okay, they found a wedge and they exploit it. A turret comes out just for good measure. The thing's going to get cleaned up quickly, and the defense from Waynesburg will hold on at the very end of the stretch.
Where did that come from? I mean, we knew they were down and not out, but still, I mean, that was... It felt like a miracle. They just dropped all 3 players like flies, and now the only player is... Well, I guess the Jeff. No way, right? Okay, yeah, no C9 here. No push to Narnia. Instead, it will be as expected. However, Southern Indiana, I guess on the other hand, we didn't do what was expected in the full cap.
If that Jeff lands and like, just, I mean, you basically have to hold him on point for that to, I think, even really count. But yeah, those are the scary moments. But look, I mean, that's credit to Southern Indiana for how they were able to push zone. Credit to Waynesburg defensively, how they stood up. Specifically, I want to, at some point, I'll probably go back tonight and look at how that team fight went down. We were looking at both the stall from the Luna ults. Final Judgment had just finished. Strange was kind of working in the back corner, and I was waiting to see whether or not there would be a wedge. They could really start to kind of get in and take some damage out on top of Thing and kind of take advantage of that space. And all of a sudden, 1 player falls, Hella gets involved in the kill feed, and then Khonshu comes in for the cleanup. They kind of zoned front of the convoy quite well. This was a very surprising opening pick that led to a great defensive stand for Waynesburg. So for them, an opportune time for those ults to really connect the way they did, and they did just that.
Am I missing something here? We got a flame on in the skies, we got a whole barrage of bullets from the Punisher, and we've got a big old man who can walk around and absorb a bunch of that damage. Where is the big source of a pick potential, because we have a lot of raw damage output, but nobody's gonna really finish them off, like that Moon Knight Ankh that kind of bounces back and forth, or even the Jeff, for all we know, to kind of flank around. But I guess in their case it is going to be the Mr. Fantastic. I'm just worried that this execution is going to be much tougher than, say, something they already were running.
Yeah, how confident are you, either A, in Callaway as Magneto, or B, do you feel that Jeff can play the damage Jeff? Do you feel that Jeff can be? Seeing Jordan move to Mr. Fantastic is a choice for sure. Well, I see your point. I guess my only question would be, do you think that do you think the inclusion of Punisher in the lineup for Waynesburg kind of alleviates some of that concern, or is it still where's the cleanup going to come in?
I mean, I guess it comes down to how can Waynesburg address what is being put in their faces, right? Or Southern Indiana, I guess I should say, for both sides. Because if you can decide, hey, we're realizing their win cons, we can kind of move against it and counteract them, then our comp is strategically better. But if you don't position yourselves that way and you don't give yourself the opportunity to win, well, this is going to happen. The turret's going to sit in the back, everyone's going to run at your face, and the full cap's going to come through, at least on this first point for Waynesburg.
You know, I was a little bit surprised that Southern Indiana elected to leave off on the Hella pick. Now, the change back over does make sense, but that does kind of answer some of my questions, or I should say our conversation about, if you're going to default back to what you had in round one, great. If you're not, how are you going to effectively clean up a lot of these fights? I think you have to have Hella on the field if you're Southern Indiana. Just simply, you need to be able to counter one Punisher, two. Take care of Johnny. That is like the amount of AoE damage you get is way too much. Also, Mr. Fantastic, when he's kind of free real estate inside the zone and teammates are already weak, shout out Johnny for the extra cleanup and damage as well. Zoning out on Magneto and make that 4. It's a double in the feed, but 4 in total in the exchanges. Jordan has been excellent today. And yeah, I mean, Waynesburg looked as confident as Southern Indiana did in round one.
Jordan better be careful, because they're about to start making me believe that Mr. Fantastic is like a viable and fun character, and I'm going to start queuing ranked with Mr. Fantastic, and then I'm going to get absolutely pooped on. So I'm going to hope that's not the case, and hopefully, you know, their teammates as well, kind of playing into that team dynamic that we were talking about as opposed to the raw hero. And I think we are seeing that with Jordan on Fantastic, because it's not all them. It's not their ult that's solo carrying these fights alone. The team has to step up, and they are. They really are.
I mean, we saw Final Judgment does get forced. You're holding on to Supernova. I don't think you need to use it now. You'd much rather prefer just to clear zone like we're getting here. You get some help on the backline as well. Mr. Fantastic is calling most of the attention to the point. He'll go ahead and ult again. My goodness, it's been non-stop for Fantastic. I've had one game with Mr. Fantastic where he went off for like, you know, 11 kills in a row. Looks great. The next game, you're like, I don't know how to use this character. It's way too complicated. This is a rare moment where Fantastic works in the meta. And granted, you get the entire Fantastic Four, so all of the combined team skill that comes into play for that matchup. This is a very quick walkthrough for Waynesburg. They're holding on to 2 ults, working on the 3rd, and closing in on the visible win boundary that could set the stage for the finale.
Something that I saw in that second map that we played, not the first, but the second, the draw, was the fact that the fights that Waynesburg take are always a lot quicker than Southern Indiana. They get them over with, or they go down quick. And right now, you're seeing the beauty of what that does. That time bank is so high. I mean, the burn is being inflicted to 4 players on the opposite side, and they just cannot withstand it. Now, one more fight for them before they are taking the L category to 0-2.
It's like live and die by the blitz. Like, they've done their job to overwhelm the front line. Their first wave's down. How do you handle the second wave? You've used your Supernova. You've used your ult from the thing. If his woman's close, here comes the Jeff counter. Picks up 1 at least. We'll try to get him out. It's not going to matter much, though. Numbers start to split. Mr. Fantastic does get zoned. The peel in the back trying to help with Thing. And things to connect for a couple. But Mr. Fantastic just out of position, out of the play, and will get caught. Magneto should be able to handle the strategist, but unfortunately misses. But credit to Waynesburg for how they've been able to handle a lot of the noise here, keeping all members up and keeping their tanks involved in the play. I mean, that cannot be overstated. Hey, guess what? What time is it, Ben? I love to see that. It's so rare, but at this stage of the game, why not throw a little curveball into the mix, make that 2. Working on the 3rd. Hella not long for the fight. Hella down. Thor up next. Thing will fall. And with that, Waynesburg should have the advantage in the following 3 plays.
It's still pretty dang close. I mean, where is that final security? I think with that ult, that might do it, as long as they can secure these picks. And yes, they are. I mean, this is just a nice little walk in the park on the strategists now. And your only worry, I guess, is if a Vanguard can make it back from spawn, which the answer is no. So Waynesburg up 2 maps to 0 here in our best of 5.
This is finally the closest part of the series we've had all day. Game 1 was a bit of a wash. Game 2 started to show some different signs of life. So that Indiana changed up the comp, and the meta was rewarded because of it. Now in Game 3, Waynesburg and Indiana trade blows, go down to the wire, 2-2 into the end, but it was Mr. Fantastic and specifically the Fantastic Four that make their presence known down the wire. Waynesburg will take the win nonetheless at the end on Convoy, and they will take control of this series 2-0. We had a tie in our game number 2. So for now, if you are Southern Indiana, though you did have success in the series, you're still looking for your first real tangible win in this matchup. And it does feel like another instance where, again, they had Waynesburg against the ropes. They had them kind of backs against it. I love the way you put that earlier about Waynesburg taking the fights quickly, whether they succeed or don't. I mean, they're in and out and they've started their initiation. And it just felt like once they got the ball rolling, they were pretty unstoppable once they got downhill late in that fight.
I know we kind of just swapped off of it, but the Mr. Fantastic, 32,000 damage, by the way.
Not bad.
That is at least the top 2 players from Southern Indiana. Their damage combined wasn't even higher than a Mr. Fantastic / Moon Knight / Moon Knight.
Yep.
But still, that's pretty dang crazy. The fact that you can replicate that and still maintain that with the Mr. Fantastic and keep on going on attacking sides is really, really strong. So they might say, hey, you're running 3 Vanguards, have fun with that. We're going to run 2.5 and get away with a strategy that just works phenomenally for us.
Do not believe the propaganda about Mr. Fantastic. But if you're going to play Mr. Fantastic, play like that.
Yep.
And you'll be just fine. Also, it helps when you have the shield bonus that you get out of playing the 4 families, so that's great. But this was a pretty staunch showing from Waynesburg. I mean, this was a team that needed to come into this offensive round and prove that they could dig into that bag like we talked about, but also show that they could handle the big question you had earlier in the round about, like, how do you clean up these kills? How do you find the cleanup in a meta or a composition that doesn't look like it's going to favor you? Was your question answered completely, or do you still have some doubts going into our next game?
I mean, I feel like my question still stands to a point of what's going to, be that big final blow, but somehow they came through regardless. Maybe the damage was just too overwhelming. Maybe the frontline presence was just there. I'm not going to question it. If Waynesburg are happy with the result, I don't think they're questioning it either. They're just going to take their W and run it to map 3, 4, 3.5, 4,
Yeah.
technically 4.
They're all of those combined, the exact same. Absolutely, yeah. It's technically map 3. It's currently map 4. We'll find out what the actual stage has in store. I love rhymes. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue on with what could be the last map of the series, Waynesburg, Southern Indiana. Indiana, backs against the wall. What do they got? We'll find out after the break.
Find my way. Triumph shines like break of day. Tides may turn, but I remain steady, strong, won't yield to pain. In the end, the truth will show. Strength and heart, the seeds we sow. I've got a heart that's never quitting. In this race, I'm always sprinting. Feel the power, victory sings. Born to conquer, spread my wings. Tides may turn, but I remain steady, strong, won't yield to pain. In the end, the truth will show. Strength and heart, the seeds we sow. I've got a heart that's never quitting. In this race, I'm always sprinting. Feel the power, victory sings. Born to conquer, spread my wings.
Running round like dollars in the wind, bending over backwards just to let you in. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar.
Well, welcome back, boys, girls, and MBs, to what could be the last match here tonight for Marvel Rivals. It's Waynesburg versus Southern Indiana. And remember, Waynesburg up 2-0. Game 2 was a tie between both teams. We had yet to find a winner. We continued on with the rest of the series. And from there, Waynesburg and Southern Indiana have proven that their bag is quite deep when it comes to the amount of tricks they can pull and the rosters they can put on the field. All right, we got to know. I mean, where are we going with this one? Is it just another day in the office for Waynesburg? Is it another close match for Southern Indiana they can't pull out? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Tell me what the vibes are like.
Well, I want to like start thinking about like, okay, we saw some good upgrades since last map, but also we're back to domination.
Yeah, we are.
And if we know anything about how that went last time, it was Waynesburg pretty dominant. Now, are there going to be damage players on the side of Southern Indiana? Hopefully, at least from what we're seeing. But I'm still worried for them until we truly get through that first fight. If this is going to be similar to that first round, or if those changes actually have been implemented as opposed to just having more raw damage.
Well, it looks like Tip of the Spear will be the thing again for Ecliptical. I mean, when it came to setting tone, it was like that on Use Your Soul Path a couple of times. Surprised we haven't seen the Protect. I'm just using very simple sample size here to kind of make this analysis quote unquote, but I'm surprised we haven't seen the Protect onto Bucky, given that it is domination. Looking back to how that game one went, looking to how crucial the Kraken impact was to essentially leaving Waynesburg out in the open and wiping away Southern Indiana consistently off the point. Granted, Southern Indiana were running 3 strategists, 3 vanguards, so it was a difference of opinion, I think, between the two teams, but the Kraken impact was the difference maker. I'm surprised we have yet to see Waynesburg protect it. Maybe they feel like there just really isn't a need to if priorities are being pulled elsewhere. Penny's not going to be a factor in this one, neither Emma, Hulk as well. So if you're looking at either quick dive or stun plays out of either Mantis or Hulk, you're gonna have to deal with one, but the Hulk will not be a factor here. So at least you protect some of your flyers should they be involved at all. Johnny's out as well, Spider-Man out. So it looks like it's going to be another ground heavy assault that we expect from both these teams. And again, Ecliptical is going to be leading that front line. So very interested to see what we get out of Southern Indiana. Again, Codex on Iron Man already pulls my eyes towards what the DPS can do here. They're going to need a couple of crucial kills from their Iron Man to shut down the Waynesburg offense that looks so good on domination.
Yeah, I was looking at those picks and bans, and all I could see was one of those final protects. And well, here's the deal with that, final protect is that it's the thing. And the thing has been so strong for both of these teams in propelling their fight wins, like you mentioned, with kind of the stuns, that I wouldn't be surprised if that just kind of carries them through. We said, oh, I didn't even realize that you could play volleyball there.
I wish they could keep going with that. That's so fun. I love it.
But with the thing kind of going into these points, although we said earlier how it was about playing as a team, that might be the A, tip of the spear, or B, the hero play that one of these teams needs in order to win some of these fights. And is it that essentially cooldown of maybe 2.5 minutes that means you win a fight, or can you find a way to get something else in that means you have a successful chance at gaining some percentage?
Look, a Hydra base, knowing that Magic's also on the field, I mean, you're talking about perfect opportunities to annoy the Iron Man, to zone the Jeff. It's going to be a tough one for sure. Namor also on the play as well, combining with Hela. So looks like, again, when it comes to just kind of zoning point and playing for Peel, you should be set up pretty nicely if you're Waynesburg. Group wall is not going to matter much, but how good your Namor player is could decide how long this round goes. Off the start, though, nice hold from Southern Indiana as they will try to get both tanks up forward. They do. Iron Man able to get some damage in the back, but Jeff peeling quickly. Hela goes down with it, and well, back to one-on-ones where, again, you got to favor Southern Indiana because they have just been unstoppable to begin. Oh, wow. Jeff, no.
You'll take that. 2 for 1. You got mine and another. Going in here with this fight, I mean, that's... Yes, one strategist down, and you're actually only left with a Luna, so all damage is now permanent as she goes down as well, but that surely was enough damage dealt, right? I mean, it looks close, but apparently not.
Oh, nice follow-up. Well, it will be enough to eventually tick away, finally, on the Groot. It looked like a hold for Southern Indiana, but then all of a sudden comes Namor, follows up with the Whale. Squids are out. Again, no Hulk overdrive, but you are working with, again, a Hela, which will basically cover most of that damage in the interim. And this is, again, where Waynesburg kind of, when they start to get set up and settled and their DPS start to get online, This is where this team really starts to pull away, but for Southern Indiana, they have a lot to work through in the front. They've proven they can do it before. Can they do it again?
I just watched Renmo kind of flop over towards that left side, and I'm kind of curious as to what the game plan was there. I think that their chances here of kind of winning this one are done and dusted, so this might just be kind of an alt farm fight, if you will. Everybody making sure they can boost up those, and here's the Jeff maybe to initiate. But you really are going to need to secure more than just one pick here if you really want a chance at actually going through and making this fight happen, and they can't even get that.
Oh, Jeff, not long for it. He actually leaves down some extra heals for Thor, which allows this fight to continue. So this entire re-rack you see from Thor on the rotation through zone, back into the defensive hold, and now posturing as a counter to the Thing pressure. Really helpful because of what Jeff was able to do. You do waste the ult, but granted, you keep one of your tanks up, so I guess it's fine. We'll count it. Dance of both worlds. It's great. Punisher trying for the shotgun up close. Jeff's going to be good for one. Expect an immediate pick and trade here. Off the map. Jeff, there it goes. Goodbye. Strategy is off. And that's your Mantis. And with it, numbers fall and health does as well. Punisher's low. Groot is low. Waynesburg look really, really comfortable and really clean on the point right now. And just way too much to deal with.
I mean, again, like, it's not a very fast process of acquiring percentage, but 32 after only one fight, it feels like a relatively low amount. Again, we're seeing Waynesburg being able to lose a fight, kind of regroup, or at least just reset. You know, not all of them went down there in that previous fight, and then they come back, they use these ults, they entry, and it looks so good. Wow. I mean, they're finding ways to win fights that really are propelling them even in the percentage game outside of all this brawl.
Well, you do get a knockup. I actually was hoping we would have seen the investment in Namor's ult later into the knockup, hopefully comboing it off of the Thing. Strange decision there from Thor to try to ult onto a Final Judgment. You know, sometimes you just panic, gotta send it. Why not? 4 ults, make it 5 on the side of Southern Indiana. They'll have Jeff. They'll have 2 supports. They'll have the Strangling Prison. If you're Waynesburg, you reset, but for Southern Indiana, it took a little bit of investment to get back onto the point. Granted, for them, they do buy some time. 81 to 45. Finally, some positive time here.
Ooh, Strangling Prison. Root, you gotta be careful. Yeah, that's your HP down to 0. So that's gonna be one big source of HP no longer in this fight. The Thing gonna be swinging and missing, at least, as that high ground may be a bit too far for their fist to reach. But now Thing battles, TM happening on the good old-fashioned site here. And, well, there's 2. Wait. Okay, yep. I thought that was 2 of their teammates. Nope, that was 2 enemies, and they go down at least to kind of even up these numbers on the point.
If you die for the cause, you die for the cause. Just gotta confirm the kills. You know, we talked earlier in the last game on our convoy match about like how do you confirm a lot of those weak players. If you have Jeff, just fly off the map. Just straight up, take one for the team, take a chance.
Is that considered a one tap?
That would be considered a one tap. Absolutely. Oh yeah.
The gentleman's one tap, if you will.
The most ungentlemanly one tap you can get in this game.
Fate of Both Worlds here can be used, and I'm always so paranoid when using these because I feel like if I use my ult, Fate of Both Worlds, and then somebody falls down while I'm on damage boost, I feel like it's going to be my fault. So I feel like I'm always on that heal because my tanks, for whatever reason, won't stop taking damage.
Jeff going to try it again. Trying to work at the back line. Might grab the other Jeff. Have to stall, though, into OT. We're going to go onto the point. Got to be careful. It's a 2v2. Make it a 4v2. Jeff's got nowhere to go. And with it, Southern Indiana will take the opening round. They were able to sneak in at the very end, buy enough time for their hold. They pulled some attention away from Thing towards Punisher with that height advantage. Didn't really amount to much, but Jeff couldn't connect the ult in time to find real estate on the zone. And Southern Indiana will buy a second life here in this series, trying to find their second, or I should say first win overall of this best of 5.
I'm just kind of thinking based off what we've seen, and Waynesburg, right, one of their weaknesses has been that they don't exactly have the uniqueness and ingenuity, shall we say? I don't know if that's the right word, but to kind of develop these plans on the fly and really go for crazy separate, like different plays. They kind of just go for the same thing and hope that it works each time. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it works really well for them. On the other side, though, you have moments where they split up and that's the way they win. that funneled into one choke in that previous map, something that didn't quite benefit them, and something that we saw before happen on that draw map. Now, with the map kind of opening up and these different avenues coming through as we see these sub maps, I think you could see a different result coming through. I think Waynesburg just having a bit of a stumble there with that first initial choke, because it's just a hella of a lot to get out of.
I've gifted chat, by the way, for that. If you don't, we will find you. Listen, this was a bit of a stumble we saw from Southern Indiana on their first team fight. It looked like the duelists were going to get online for Waynesburg. The Hella was in great position. There was immediate questions about Punisher. Like, is it just going to be the Punisher Hella show? Obviously, using your name more both effectively and at sometimes a little bit sporadically with that ult, it seemed like a little too overzealous to just call game instead of kind of waiting for the fight to naturally develop. Southern Indiana took a lot of those opening blows, stabilized, and did a very good job of being able to redictate pace back at mid-map specifically, keeping Punisher out of a lot of the opening damage for the later team fights, and really shutting down the Hella. I mean, Hella was not much of a factor after 2 minutes, 30 seconds into that round. It was Southern Indiana kind of controlling how those team fights went. So this is a team that clearly proves that when their backs are against the wall, they can make the necessary changes. They can make the requisite decisions. It's just about, can they kind of get ahead of the curve before they eventually fall behind is the big question, it seems.
Yeah, let's talk about that hell a little bit more, because there were some things that I noticed with the positioning and just the style of gameplay that we saw that kind of led to maybe why they weren't seeing as much success, right? We talked about how Hella is really, really good at dealing high damage, securing those kills, or, doing really, really well with just kind of taking down that hit scan in the sky. But if you focus on one or the other a bit too much, you're not going to see that value from their whole kit, right? They were positioned at an angle that really was only meant to kind of play ring around the rosy with the Iron Man, and that's why you didn't really see much value coming from them in the team fights. That's why the ultimates weren't being developed as quickly. But then on the other hand, right, they kind of just go back and start saying, okay, let's deal with the main fight. Well, now the Iron Man's taking everybody down from the skies. So it really is a decision that you need to address. And I think that's maybe why they saw a Namor at one point. But it's just tough to really go through all those things in real time when you're not expecting it, which I feel like they should have had, because we saw the Iron Man ban happen in that draw map of map 2.
Yeah, they kind of laid the groundwork for the rest of this conversation, but most of the gameplay at the end of map 2. But these are two teams that don't have that much competition against each other, time against each other. Sometimes I just have strokes and we have to rock through it. Look, these are one of those moments though. Like, if you're Southern Indiana, you've basically been playing off the back foot for most of this series. Granted, it's been working. So if I'm them, I'm not feeling too shaky going into the next round. I mean, this is a team that has played off the deep end, off the back foot, I should say, from the deep end against Waynesburg. They've proven they can come out and win outright on zone if they have to. They've proven they can establish rhythm early in the attacking round. When it looked back to Convoy and Nutritional Path, they were fantastic in that opening round. This is a team that has the answers. It's just whether or not they can put them together in the right sequence at the right time to get everybody, I should say, on the same page. And that's kind of where our conversation has been tonight, has just been simply for both teams. How do you make the requisite decisions and priorities when you have to? Curious though, on your talk about the Hella positioning, we saw a little bit earlier where it was kind of sitting towards Catwalk, watching the cross over towards Iron Man. There was some pryos over early towards the other Punisher as well. Do you want to see their Hella play closer to the ground, closer to the strategist, and play more, I guess, head-on vertical into the fights? Or do you like them playing on the outskirts, keeping the peel alive? Like, what would you like to see from the Hella that could potentially change the way that Waynesburg are finding success in these rounds?
Well, there's a certain quote in common media culture, maybe from a little bit ago, that is, "I have the high ground now."
Oh no.
And I feel like that might be an idea to help out the Hella.
Yeah.
Because although, yes, we saw them kind of meander over there every once in a while, just the ability to kind of stay up there and be able to address both of those things, right? You can take those fights over towards the right side if you're the Vanguards, which is, again, this is not all entirely on Hella. The Vanguards need to realize, hey guys, we're literally getting damage from up in the sky to our left. Let's kind of move to the right. Like, slide to the right, crisscross this time, because we need to keep getting the point and keep holding on to our percentage. And if we move to the left, we're going to get the Jeff to eat us up, gobble us up, and then throw us off the ledge as well. So it really is just all benefits to go on that right side. There's so much more that they can do there. But again, that kind of leads into our points of, well, they're having tough times looking at the plans in the real moments.
It is kind of funny how the Jeffs eventually fell into the trap of, I get one, you get one, I get one. We're just going to suey off the map and call it a day. And it's like, okay, fair. We're just going to play 4v4, 5v5 on point. That's fine. If Jeff is not much of a factor, that's a win for every human being on Earth all the time. So very happy that's how things kind of settled in the end. But for Waynesburg, look, this is a team that had the lead for the majority of that opening round on domination. They had a very strong hold. They were unable to close it out. Southern Indiana proved they could fight back from the brink, and they showed that they could go for haymakers toe-to-toe in the middle of the ring. Their thing was doing quite a bit of damage for Waynesburg. Again, they're up 2-0 in the series. They tied in game number 2. Southern Indiana hunting for their first win. They get a round on the board. Again, a team that got a round on the board back in the convoy on Yggdrasil Path, unable to close it out from there. Lost in OT. But Southern Indiana have shown promise tonight in a lot of their offensive rounds. It just came down to if they could put all the pieces together at once. That's the big question for this team. And as for now, we will wait to see if the players would want to get back into the lobby. 2 had a couple players DC. So until we get them all settled and situated for the continuation of our game number 4, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will continue on with Waynesburg and Southern Indiana. You're not going to want to miss it. Second half of this game 4 coming up right after the break.
I'm sick of fighting the things that you said. I don't wanna burn all our bridges ahead. I'm tired of going to bed when you left me on red just to turn up the noise in my head. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. You were calling me a liar, 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 liar. I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down to now and never. I was putting in the
Welcome back, boys, girls, and MBs. Hope you're having a fantastic night. We get into round number 2 of map 4. It's a 2-0 series lead for Waynesburg. Southern Indiana finally get around on the board. Granted, this team's been trying to find their first win tonight in a couple of close matches, but we'll make sure that, again, all players are good to go. I believe we quickly had another quick drop with it, make it 2. We'll get Southern Indiana back into the lobby, and with that,
Looks like the mission area is
we will potentially here and call for production. We're going to keep going, actually, as the rules stipulate. Unfortunately for Southern Indiana, their pause time has come to an end as they were waiting to get back in. Though they have dropped, one of the benefits of Marvel Rivals is that you can reconnect. So we're going to kind of keep our fingers crossed and hope they get back into the lobby. But for now, Waynesburg an advantage, one could say, into this round.
360 no scope.
Oh, come on.
Almost. There it is. Hey. Okay, well, that's not exactly how I expected the first fight to go with the 4v6, but, you know, we've seen crazier things, including a 3v3 show match, so anything is possible here. For Waynesburg, though, they gotta win this out, because if you lose this map,
yeah,
what are we doing, gang?
If you lose this, it is a question that you're gonna have to lay awake at night and think about. Granted, it would just be another map for them. However, for Waynesburg, this is a moment where they just put their foot down on the gas and take advantage of the round. A moment where Southern Indiana are going to have to play a 3v6, 4v6. I can do math. I swear to God, I have a college degree. Here we go. Trying to spit out. Holding on 2. It's a barrier. That sucks. So does this. Dealing with the support in the back. Strategist gone for good. And now a chance for Waynesburg to put their foot down on this round, though. 42 points on the board for Southern Indiana. Not a bad showing for a team that's lost 2 of their members.
Yeah, actually, not the worst result, for sure. I mean, Southern Indiana, again, like we mentioned, the math is not wrong if you're just joining us. There was a draw on one of these maps, the second to be exact, so although it says map 4 and the score is 2-0, that third one is null. Nobody won that one, so zip for that, but still, now potential for somebody to get to 3 or 1, depending on how you look at it. And, well, if I had to guess as of right now, and just in terms of sheer numbers, we're going to say that Waynesburg looking pretty good as their way to a clean sweep.
Yeah, if they can just deal with the tank, I think this is going to be pretty easy. And they will do it. No, Punisher can't, unfortunately, kill everybody as much as some would like. Not going to happen this time. And it looks like it will be, again, another clean wipe for Southern Indiana. Now just questions of simply how do we get ready for the next one. It feels like this is kind of a formality, so we wait to make sure that all players will be good to go for the next match, but it'll be a 1-1 game on domination, and when we get into the next round, it becomes a one and done. And Ari, I'm curious if you have any surprise picks we might get roster-wise, composition-wise. What are you feeling?
Oh my god. Well, I'm glad that Where's Waldo just did that, because as a Magic disliker, I am very, very thankful, and I wish that my DPS could do that. But unfortunately, for them, they'll be sent to the spawn room. Waynesburg will be happy with this result, but that's kind of low HP you're on there. Be very, very careful. That's not a lot of HP that anybody has got. Oh, that makes sense. That's why. As 3 players off the edge, do they go? Yes, in 2. Well, 2. 2.5. There's 3. Maybe 4? Nope. But you know, points 1 anyway, so 4K, Flashy 3K, launch off the 2 of the K. Hey, 1 point's 1. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's quick turn of events at Frozen Airfield. Sure. We'll go to Eldritch Monument. We'll make sure again that the players are okay to keep going, and if they are, we'll just keep it moving. And as I remember, because I play this game religiously, and I should have told you before during my last diatribe, that again, the rounds continue. So it will be another 4v6 going into this because we just keep it moving in domination. There will be no pause. So for Southern Indiana, a chance, a hope and a prayer. They're going to need something to combat this clear mathematical disadvantage they're playing with. But for Waynesburg, look, for them, you know, it's a tough spot to be in. Obviously, the biggest question tonight was just simply, can they come out right and get the win? If they do close it out here, we can finally look at this team and say, all right, they have won their first match at NECC. They have finally put a positive result on the board, and they've done so with a very large roster tonight of both tanks and supports and who they wanted to pick and choose and change up for the different game modes. It seemed like this team had an answer for everything, which is pretty rare at this level.
I'm loving the mystery heroes that we're seeing now. It's just everybody for themselves. We've got a Wolverine in the hands of a thing. We've got
there are no rules.
I mean, a Black Widow. You can go for it. Have fun. do what you can. And there's an early investment of the Clobber. Although it finds one, it'll just be the stun, and the kill will not come through for you. So instead, they'll be back to, well, the battle on the points where everybody's just kind of whacking away, and eventually we know how this game will go.
Punxiorn, you just got to focus on the sentries. You got to take out the lanterns. They're standing still. They'll make it more complicated than it has to be. Gene gets into the mix of things. Gonna try to beat down the thing, and luckily your hit scan will get extra bonus points for the headshots. Some damage buff. Love that. Not enough to clear off the point, though. Widow still trying to find a kill. Widow still trying to hit the shot. So many targets to shoot at. So many players to decide on.
Hey, there's one.
Land one on Jeff. There we go.
And now it just uses the ult here, right? For security. Oh, nope, never mind. Everybody's just taken away. Jeff's gone. Codex is gone. And now the thing just ran through a Jeff, apparently. Just out the mouth, straight to the point, and then, well, back to the spawn room.
You know, credit to Southern Indiana for kind of delaying the inevitable of this push. That is a surprising result nonetheless. The fact that they stalled out in that team fight. But 10 points on the board. 90 to go. And it looks like Star-Lord will be on the play. You know what? In these situations, you might as well just be playing two heals, 2 DPS. You can't really go wrong with anything, but Warlock's going to try to hunt down Jeff and split off this back push. They will create the pinch. They will be successful for the moment. All the heals, all the opportunity. There goes the thing, and that is the wipe.
There goes the thing, and there went the thing. Just kind of left to dust there in the final moments. And of course, this point known for its, you know, changing verticalities, but right now feels like the tempo will need to be changed before that really becomes relevant here in this one. Although Thing having a bit of fun here in the back lines, maybe a bit too much fun as they lose. I was gonna say what was half their HP bar just immediately gains it back because it's the Thing, by the way, has 1,000,000 HP. The only problem is that the picks aren't exactly there to their entirety just quite yet. You saw the Luna grab too, but where are the rest? Where's the push on through? And it's kind of just a WWE SmackDown in the backline.
Yeah, that backline just exists to eventually fall at times. Somewhere there is a joke. I'll let chat make it. I don't know what the joke is, because I am too old to make it. Here we go.
Backlines are a figment of your imagination.
That's right. They are machinations of enigmas. Oh, Jeff. Please, Jeff. Oh. Don't you dare hurt Jeff.
Go for your one. Go for your one. Okay. And now where? Now where are we going? Off?
I'm feeling a little off.
Verticality?
Bang. There we go.
It didn't even make it. Just eliminated by the... Oh, okay. There we go. Redeemed. Redeemed.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's the way we want to end things tonight. Here comes an EMP. Maybe. Yeah, just hit the ground for good measure. Celebratory dance across the board. 2 in the kill feed. Everybody gets back onto the point. It doesn't matter whether or not you have the eternal bond. Who cares? It is a GG's in the end for Waynesburg. They do get blessed with a bit of a technicality, but nonetheless, they had to fight their way for a 2-0 lead, and they will walk away in the series with a sweep. Though they did tie game 4, they will win 3-0 in the end. The strangest sweep of all time, maybe, but a win nonetheless. Congratulations to Waynesburg as they'll take it in 3. GG's all the way around. Love the sportsmanship in chat. And this was a much closer affair than what I expected tonight. And I'm glad that it was a bit of a haymakers from both teams eventually went down the wire.
I know we're kind of calling this a sweep, right? But if we're using the analogy of a broom, right? I mean, the broom is maybe missing a few strands on the bottom. The handle's kind of broken off, but it's still got the job done. It still swept up the dust. And
oh yeah,
the dust. I mean, a part of them ran away on their own. 2 of them to be exact. But hey, they made it there in the end. Nice little sweep, as we're going to call it in the end. 3-0 is what is recorded in the books, so they'll take it how they can get it. And honestly, we saw the forfeit for Waynesburg to kind of benefit from 4. Now at least it feels they've truly earned this victory. Yeah. Although it did kind of come towards the end is a little shaky. They dominated on first point in domination. And then they tied it up, Convoy, when things started to get a little shaky, but then they keep things going, and it really did look solid from there on. So props to Waynesburg, even though the end a little bit anticlimactic. I mean, they really did pull through when they were needed to.
They looked great down the stretch. This is a team that had to create Great. This is a team that had to find many adjustments, call different audibles today, and they did it. I mean, look, credit to Southern Indiana, both one, for sportsmanship across the board. Shout out to the students. Two, the fact that immediately they're in game chat going, GG's, we need to hit some scrims. Like they're already thinking about the next match, the next opportunity. This is why we play the games. This is why we do what we do, because we want players to feel like the environment is ripe for them to compete in events like this. And again, if you want to find out more information about what comes up next, make sure you stay involved here with the Esports Company. There'll be links available both lower in the Twitch chat and also links being pushed around if you're in the Discord. Access to all kinds of information. This was a great night of Marvel Rivals for Waynesburg and Southern Indiana, two teams that I hope we see more of as they hopefully collide later in the future. But Ari, I do want to get your closing thoughts for Waynesburg. A good start to the season again for an NECC competition. Is there anything that stood out to you tonight for this team, whether good or bad, that you want to see continued or adjusted moving forward? How are you feeling about the squad?
I think it comes in the final moments. You talked about that GG that was being in chat. They said they needed to hit the scrims. Well, guess what? As much as you may need to improve on some stuff, enjoy your victory, right?
Right.
Rest on your laurels, even if it's just for a day. You won today, you worked hard, you came through with the W. So take that and use that as motivation going forward to make it, maybe instead of the flimsy clean sweep, to make it a legit one and make it all the way home. Maybe they make it into the playoffs and the grand finals, and who knows where the vision can take you anywhere. But for right now, say yippee, because you won the game today.
You did. They came out, they performed, they looked great. Waynesburg, congratulations to you on your first big win in NECC. Southern Indiana, a lot of promise for this squad. Very excited to see what they do in the future. Remember, tomorrow at 7 o'clock, there will be a Rocket League coming up. It'll be a best of 7 of Pyro, Jay, and Llama. Very excited to tune into that. If you're a Rocket League fan, I am. Make sure you tune in. But if you're a fan of Marvel Rivals, remember to stay tuned here for the Esports Company. We'll have more events and more games kicking off later into next week and so on, once per week. You always know the deal. Again, from production, from Ari, from myself, from everybody on the back end, all the players, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Shout out to production who had this thing rolling. It's all the players who showed up tonight for Waynesburg. Southern Indiana, a fantastic night of Marvel Rivals for the first best of 5 NECC, and we'll be back next week for more of the same action. And we hope that you'll join us then. Until then, have a good one.